All right, so today we're going to learn how to add sign fractions and mixed numbers. It says subtract, but I put that on there because you need the same thing to subtract, which we'll get into next week. All right, but to add and subtract sign fractions and mixed numbers, you need a common denominator, guys. Basically, we'll be using a T-chart on this, and we will not be changing mixed numbers to improper fractions. So add that. You only do that on multiplication and division. All right, so adding sign fractions is as easy as adding integers. You just need to use the same thing. And same thing is with the decimals. All right, make sure you're pausing the video and you're taking notes, guys. So if the chips are the same color or on a number line, the arrows go in the same direction. Again, you want to add the numbers and keep the sign. Add and keep. If the chips are different colors or on a number line, the arrows go in different directions, you want to make sure you subtract the numbers and take the sign of the larger group, guys. So make sure like I said, you're taking notes, all right? So pause the video. I'm going to keep going, but you pause the video and you take notes. All right. For your examples, it says find the sum of each of the following. All right, but before you add or subtract, when you're dealing with fractions or mixed numbers, you need a common denominator. So I'm going to draw a T-chart. And in my T-chart, I'm going to put the bottom number 8 and 6. And we've done this before, so we should know you all should know what I'm doing. All right, I'm going to skip count by 8, 8, 16, 24, 32, and so forth. For the 6, 6, 12, 18, 24. The common denominator is 24. And all you have to do is multiply the 8 by 3 to get 24. And if you don't know that, you had to go down 3 spaces to get to 24 from the 8. 1, 2, and then to 3 spaces. But if you multiply 8 by 3, you must also multiply 7 by 3. It's going to give you 21 over 24. Plus, here I'm going to multiply by 4. You go down 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So multiply the 5 by 4. So, and you keep your sign, so that will give you negative 20 24s. Now, since you're dealing with signs, you just have to see, do you have positives or negatives, or does it go left and right? All right, this is positive 21 24s. Or I could say it goes to the right. This is plus negative, which means it goes to the left, or you can look at them as negatives. But these are different. They go in different directions. One goes to the right, the other one goes to the left. Or I can say I got positives here and negatives here. So you should subtract. So start off with the bigger number in the numerator. 21 is bigger than 20. So 20 minus 21 is 1. And it's more to the right. So it's 1 over 24. Positive 1 over 24. Because once you find a common denominator, you keep it. But you subtract because they're different. You got positives and negatives, or they're going in different directions. So we want to make sure we subtract the numerators, okay? The numerators are the top numbers. Excuse me. All right, let's look at number 2. I'm going to do a T-chart for 4 and for 6. So there's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so forth. Here you have 6 and 12. I'm going to stop. The common denominator is 12. I'm going to multiply 4 by 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'll multiply 3 times 3. And you keep your signs. So there ends up being negative 9 twelfths plus. Here I'm going to multiply by 2. 6 by 2 and 1 by 2. So it'll be negative 9/12 plus negative 2/12. Keep your signs, guys, okay? Make sure you bring them down. All right, so this goes to the left to get to negative 9/12 plus negative also goes to the left. Or you can say you got two negatives. So in this case, you're going to add and keep the sign. So that becomes negative 11/12. And that's all you do. Just that simple. Again, make sure you're pausing the video and you're taking notes. All right, so let's look at some mixed numbers. You do them the same way. But the only thing I'm going to ask is that you stack sign mixed numbers when you subtract them. I'm asking you to do that because sometimes you have to borrow or regroup with mixed numbers, okay? All right, so let's take a look. Let's look at our denominators. We have 9 and 12. And remember, I said at the top, look up here, do not change mixed numbers to improper fractions. So we're just going to leave it. Leave the 1 and the 4. All right, so we got 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, and so forth. Here, if you skip count by 12, you got 12, 24, and 36. Your common multiple is 36. I'm going to multiply 9 by 4 to get 36. So I multiply 2 by 4. So that's negative 1. And bring this down. You keep it, guys. Negative 1 and 8, 36. Plus, see, we multiply the 12 by 3. 1, 2, 3. So multiply the 9 by 3. Plus, negative 4 and 27, 36. Just make sure you bring your signs down, okay? Got to keep those signs. Don't forget that, because that's going to tell you whether you add or subtract. All right, so you got negative. These are negatives, or it's to the left. And plus negative is also to the left on the number line. So since they're both in the same direction, we're going to add and keep the sign. All right, so I'm not subtracting them. I just said stack the mixed numbers if you're subtracting them. Well, I'm adding, so I'm just going to add. It's going to give me negative 5 and 27 plus 8. That's the numerators. Negative 5 and 35 over 36. It's negative because if they're both on the left side of 0, the only numbers over there are the negative numbers. All right, let's take a look at number 4 again. Make sure you're pausing the video, guys, and taking notes. 10, 20, 30, 40, and so forth. Here I got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Now somebody may have made it to 40 because you didn't pay attention that you have a smaller one, but 20 is the smallest one. So I'm going to multiply this by 2 and multiply this by 2. That gives me negative 2 and 6/20. All right, I'm going to multiply this by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And multiply that by 5. So it's plus 5 and 5 and 15/20. Excuse me. Hold on, guys. All right, so here you got negative 2 and 6/20 plus 5 and 15/20. And I'm just going to establish direction. That's to the left, where those are negatives, and plus positive goes to the right. Or you could just say you got negatives and positives, so you know you're going to subtract. Now, remember, back up here, I said if you subtract, if you're subtracting mixed numbers, I need you to stack them, okay? Stack sign mixed numbers when subtracting. So I got to subtract, so I'm going to stack them. And this is what I mean by stack them. You know, when you subtract, you put the larger group on top. I only do this with mixed numbers. So the largest group is the group to the right. So I'm going to put it on top. 5 and 15 20ths. And I'm going to subtract 2 and 6 20ths. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a minute. All right, 15. I always start off when you subtract with the numerators. Don't look at the whole numbers 5 and 2. Look at 15 and 6. I can start up with 15 and take away 6. So that's 9. Keep the 20. And then 5 minus 2 is 3. And it's more to the right than it is to the left, so it's positive. That's all you do. Just make sure you put the larger group on top whenever you subtract mixed numbers, guys. All right, so I want to get into something called regrouping with mixed numbers. Now, I taught you all to borrow like this. I hope I don't blow anybody's mind. So normally we would borrow. We can start out with 6 and take away 7. I'm just making up something. So we borrow, and the 4 becomes a 3, and we add 10 to 6, making it 16. So normally we add 10, okay? Or here you can't do 3 minus 5, so you borrow from the 1, make it a 0, and you add 10 to 3, making it 13. Again, we add 10. That's regular borrowing. You can't start out with 0, take away 2, so you borrow from the 5, make it a 4, add 10. Okay, but again, regular borrowing is when you just add 10 to what you already got. But that's what regular borrowing or regrouping. So when you do mixed numbers, or when you have mixed numbers, you can't do that. That's gone. Get that line of thinking out of your head with mixed numbers. So to help reiterate that or get that across to you, I'm going to do some models with you. So I'm just going to model what I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 whole circles, and then 1 out of 4 shading. 4 whole circles, and then another 1 out of 4 parts of that circle shaded. So that's 1/4. What I want to do is I want to take one of these holes. So I'm going to take this one, this whole circle, and put it with this one. So I'm going to put these two together. So I'm going to borrow one of the 4. So I'm going to take one from 4, and it becomes a 3. So I only have 1, 2, 3. Because now I took this 4th one and I put it with the little piece that wasn't the whole. It's like having 1 out of 4 slices of pizza. So I took this whole circle right here, this whole circle, and I put it with this one. So I want to add it to what I have already. Well, I got 1 out of 4 already. Okay, so now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all together. So when I take one of the 4, instead of having 1/4, now I have 5/4. So let me go back over it just to make sure we understand. I don't want anybody to be confused. So originally I had 4 1/4. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 holes, 4 whole circles shaded in. And then I had just 1/4 of another one, okay? Okay, so now what I want to do is take this one away from the group of 4. So I'm not going to have 4 holes anymore. I'm going to take this one away, and I don't have 4 holes anymore. Now I only have 1, 2, 3. That's because this one that I took away, I've decided to add to this piece right here. So now how many fourths do you have in all? Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 fourths, the whole thing, plus the 1/4, which makes 5 fourths. Okay? So I can rename this as 3 wholes and 5 fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, the way you show that with this is you take 1 from 4 and it becomes a 3. But that 1 you borrowed had how many fourths in it? It had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 fourths. Okay? So this is 4 out of 4 plus the 1 out of 4, which is how I got 5 fourths. So when you borrow 1 from the 4, you're actually borrowing 4 fourths. Let me write this better. So that 1/4 gets added to the 4 fourths. That's that 1/4 right here. Gets added to the 4 fourths, which is right in here. But that 4 fourths comes from these holes I had, okay? So now 1/4 plus 4 fourths equals 5 fourths. Okay, let's take a look at another one. I have 1 whole circle shaded, 2 whole circle shaded, 3 whole circle shaded, and 1, 2, 3 pieces out of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I got 3 eighths. So this ends up equaling 3 wholes and 3 eighths. But if I decide to take one of these away and put it with this one, then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 eighths. So I'm going to take these 8 eighths and put it with these 3 eighths. Okay? But I don't have 3 holes anymore. Remember, I had 3, but I took one away. And now I'm left with just 2 holes. And then that hole that I borrowed was in terms of eighths. And you can always just look at your denominator and tell it's in terms it's in terms of, like, that's an 8. So that hole that I borrowed, well, we have 8 out of 8 pieces. So 3 eighths plus 8 eighths is 11 eighths. So I can rename it like that. This had 4 slices in it, like slices of pizza. So when I add a hole, I'll add 4 fourths, guys. So since they had 1, 2, 3, 4 slices in it, that's all let me to see to add 4 fourths. This had 8 slices in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when I borrowed a hole, I add 8 eighths. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 8 eighths is the same as 1. That's that 1 hole I borrowed, okay? Okay, let's take a look at this one. I have 1 hole, 2 holes, so that's 2. Then I have 2 more shaded out of a total of 3. So that's 2 holes and 2/3. That's what the model represents. But if I take one of these holes away, no longer have 2 holes, I only have 1. And I'm going to take the hole that I borrowed, which is being terms of 3/3, or 3 out of 3, and add it to the 2 out of 3 that I have. Then I have a total of 2 out of 3 added to the 3 out of 3, which is the hole. That's the hole I borrowed and put with this one. I'm putting these together. Put together. So 3 out of 3 plus 2 out of 3 makes 5 out of 3. So let's take a look and see if we can do it with models. Regroup each of the following without the models. So what I want to do is take it's got 9 whole circles, but I want to take one of those and make, instead of having 9 whole circles, I have 8 whole circles. But the 8 that whole that I borrowed, that one whole that I borrowed, is the same as 5 over 5. I know that because the denominator is a 5. So I had to have 5 slices in it, or 5 pieces in it. So what I'm going to do now is add that whole that I borrowed to the 3/5. I'm going to put these together. So I take 1 from the 9 and make it an 8. And I add that 1, which is the same as 5 over 5, to 3/5, which makes 8/5. Okay, let's go here. I'm going to take 1 from the 4, making it a 3. But this is in terms of thirds. So that 1 that I borrow is the same as 3 over 3. So now, all I do is add that 1 that I borrowed from the 4 to the 1/3, making it 4/3. So if I regroup 4 and 1/3, it becomes 3 and 4/3. If I regroup 9 and 3/5, it becomes 8. Hold on. It becomes 8 and 8/5. Okay, it's really, really simple. Let me put another one here. Suppose I gave you, just making one up, 10 and 3/7. I'm going to borrow 1 from the 10. I'm going to leave a little room. It becomes a 9. But that 1 that I borrow is in terms of sevens. I know that because my denominator is a 7. So I add 7 sevens to 3 sevens, making it 10 sevens. And that's all you do. Okay, you're going to need that for when we get ready to do these, okay? You need to know that for when we get ready to do these. So I'm going to have 8s. And that's about 8. 8s and 6. 8. Finding the common denominator, guys. 12. That's definitely not 12. 8, 16, 24, 32. And then I'm going to skip count here. 6, 12, 18, 24. So my common denominator is 24 now. I'm going to really need you to pay attention to this one because some of you are going to think, oh, it's the same. I'm tired of Miss Blue doing these. I already know how to do it. Well, you're going to get it wrong if you don't listen. Okay? So this is times 3. Times 3. So that's 4 and 15 24s. And then here, you're going to multiply times 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Multiply upstairs on the numerator times 4. And establish that this goes to the right because it's positive, and plus negative goes to the left. Well, those are different. Or you can say I got positive and negatives. That's still different. So you need to subtract. Now, remember what I said about subtracting when you have mixed numbers? When you have mixed numbers and you subtract them, I need you to put the larger group on top. If you don't do that, you're going to get it wrong. Okay? The larger group is the group to the left because it has a 7. So I'm going to put it on top and stack them, okay, guys? Now watch. Watch what happens when I put the largest number on top. You cannot solve with 4 and take away 15. So here we got to borrow. We got to regroup. So 7 will become a 6. And that 1 that you borrow from the 6 is in terms of 24s because 24 over 24 is 1. And that's that 1 that I borrowed from 7. But I know to use a 24 because my denominator is a 24. So that's going to be 6, and I'm going to put these two pieces together. 6 and 28, 24s. Now I can write this back down. So 28 minus 15 is 13. Keep your 24. 6 minus 4 is 2. And I got more negatives and positives. So I can say it's more to the left than it is to the right. So the answer is -2 and 13 24s. But if you don't stack them, sometimes it's hard to see when you got to regroup and when you don't have to. So that's why I say if you're subtracting with mixed numbers, always stack them with the larger group on top. So you can see if you can subtract the numerators, the top numerator, and minus the bottom numerator, okay? Okay, let's look at number 8. We got 12 and 6, 12, 24, 36. Well, here I could just go 6, 12. The common denominator is 12. Well, this is already over 12, so I'm going to keep it just like it is. Don't change it if you don't need to, okay? Okay, now let's take a look at the other one. Here I'm going to multiply the 6 by 2 times 2 times 2. So that's going to be plus. I don't know why I put it in parentheses. It doesn't need it, guys. Okay, it doesn't need it. I'm just going to put plus 11 and 2/12. All right, so this goes to the left because it's negative. Plus positive goes to the right. Or you can say you got negatives and positives. So if they're different, of course, we should remember that we're going to subtract and put the larger group on top. The larger group is the one with the 11 as a whole number. So I'm going to put it on top. 11 and 2/12 minus 4 and 5/12. Well, I can't start off with 2 and take away 5. I'm gonna have to regroup on that, okay? So I'm gonna borrow 1 from the 11 and make it a 10. I'll leave space so I can add what I need to right here. And that 1 that I borrowed is in terms of 12s. I know that because my denominator is 12. So I add 12/12, which is 1. 12/12 plus 2/12 is 14/12. And I just bring this minus 4 and 5/12 over. 14 minus 5 is 9. Keep your 12. 10 minus 4 is 6. And it's more to the right. I have more positives and negatives. So my answer is positive 6 and 9/12. Now you could simplify that if you want to negative to 6 and 3/4. But it's fine if you leave it like that. Okay, let's take a look at 9. I'm going to use the same T-chart. I got 8 and 6. We should already determine that the common denominator is 24. So I'm going to multiply that by 3 and that by 3. I'm just up here. I already got 8 and I already have 6. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel and do it again. All right, so that's going to give me 4 and 9/24 plus negative 7. And I get to multiply this by 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be negative 7 and 20/24. All right, that's to the right. It's positive. And plus negative is to the left. Or you can say I'm adding negatives, but these are different. So I'm going to subtract. Remember, if you're dealing with mixed numbers, stack the larger group on top. It's more to the left, so I'm going to stack it on top. I got a larger group of negatives. Now it should be really easy to see that you can start off with 20 and take away 9. It's just that you want your numerator to be higher if it's on the top. So you can subtract without regrouping. If the top numerator is lower, you're going to have to regroup, guys. So 20 minus 9 is 11. Keep the 24. And 7 minus 4 is 3. And you got more negatives and positives. Or you can say it's more left than it is to the right. And the numbers on the left side is 0 and negative. So the answer is negative 3 and 11/24. So there was no need to borrow or regroup. You can do 20 minus 9. It's going to give you 11. Okay, let's look at 10. 10 is a bit weird because you got a whole number 4. When you have a whole number, just go ahead and write 4 and no 6. I know to use a 6 because that's a 6. So I'm going to go ahead and write something with a common denominator, okay? If my other mixed number has a denominator of 6, then I need that whole number to have a denominator of 6. So you don't have any 6 on it, though, so you just put 4 and 0, 6. You don't have any. So basically, you just kind of rewrite it. No need to do a T-chart. There, right in here, you don't have any 6. You got 0 of them. It's missing. So you just put 4 and 0, 6. I know again to use a 6 because I want a common denominator. Okay, I want a 6. All right, so this goes to the right. This goes plus negative goes to the left. I'm adding negatives. Those are different. So I'm going to subtract. And the larger group is the root to the left. So I have 7 and 1 6 minus 4. And I don't have any 6. No 6. And I can start off with 1 and take away 0. And 7 minus 4 is 3. And it's more negatives than positives. Or I can say it's more to the left than it is to the right. It's like 7 to the left and some little part. And on the 4 to the right. Make sure you're taking notes, guys. Last two. All right, so here I have 4 and 5 11ths plus negative 7. And I don't have any 11s, so I put 0 11ths. I don't have any. All right, that's to the right. Plus negative is to the left. They're different, so I'm going to subtract again. And put the largest group on top. 7 is bigger than 4. So I'm going to put 7 and no 11ths on top. Plus 4 and minus 4 and 5 11ths because I'm subtracting. Well, I can't start off with 0 and take away 5. So I'm going to borrow from the 7 and it will become a 6. And I'm going to add in the one whole that I borrow, which is in terms of 11ths. 11 11ths is 1. But 0 11ths plus 11 11ths is just still 11 11ths. So that's going to be 11 minus 5, which is 6. And 6 minus 4, which is 2. And this one is also more to the left, so it's negative. Okay, let's take a look at 12. Here I have 8s, and I have 4s. 8, 16, 24. Here you have 4, 8. I'm going to stop. My common denominator is 8. My least common denominator is 8. This is already over 8, so I write it back down. Here I get to multiply this by 2. And this is to the left. Plus negative is also to the left. Well, these go in the same direction, so I'm going to add them. When you add them, there's no need to stack them. Just add. That's negative 4 and 7/8. It's negative because they're both on the left and they're both negatives. You can't end up with a positive. They're both negatives. And that's all you do, guys. All right, you're going to try the homework now. Go back and watch the video if you need to, though, okay? All right, thank you.